So are there some additional questions at this point?
Absolutely.
Once it's wilderness, we lose no matter what.
Yeah.
There's no turning
Well,
back.
our cherry leaf and taken off there.
Okay.
He actually is dovetailing with someone else's question. This is from Jane Feldman. And pivoting off of his questions, the question is, what are the benefits, or what does wilderness give to the local community? And this is a comment which came in from Jane Feldman on it as well. Similarly, we have a question from Judy Metz, which is, if the purple area in the wilderness area for Lake Mead, does that mean boats cannot dock on shore, picnic with families, etc.?
The latter is no. It does not mean you cannot do those things. You have to create a process to ensure that those activities which we have now are preserved, and that there's a process that if they are recommended to be changed in the future, that you have a say in how they would change.
And Bryant Robinson wanted to share a comment, which was, why do we need any additional wilderness area? I don't think so. There was another technical question which came out from the group, which was, how will who serves on the local boards be determined? And it's a technical one, so I highlighted it for you because it breaks down for the various parts in it for each little town and for each county and how it works for it.
So the appointments to the advisory councils, the 4 members will be appointed from recommendations from the from Mesquite City Council, 1 member appointed from the Bunkerville Town Board, 1 from the Moapa Valley Town Board, 1 from the Moapa Nevada Town Board, and 1 from the Moapa Band of Paiute Tribal Council, and 5 at-large members appointed from recommendation from the County Commission. So, you know, that. So what I want to do at this time, I'm going to take this gentleman's question. This will be the last question, and then anyone who wants to come up, look at the map, talk to us one-on-one. We'll be here to take additional questions, but we committed that we would keep this to an hour, so I want to take your question and then we'll proceed.
You're talking about the council and the recommendations, but what power, what fight do they have? Because I'm not trying to dog the government, but the government can come up with any number of reasons to do anything that they want. We've seen that in the past. But without some power, this council is.
So are they just advisory? That's the question.
Well, look, does it have the power to enact law? No, it's not an elected body. But it has the power to give local perspective on issues that only local community people know about. You know, right now we're relying on people who may not be here, who may not have a perspective, who may not know the history to make decisions about land use in our area. So no, it doesn't have the enforcement of law, but it has the ability to formalize the voice of local government or local communities in a way that is meaningful. And agencies have to follow the federal law. And if we say create the council and listen to their recommendations, and then they do the very opposite of what the community is saying, then you can follow up and address that with those agencies. And this is, again, an area where I need your help. Okay, we've got great people who are here from the BLM, and you know, I've met with the Park Service and the wildlife folks, and I really feel there are a lot of committed people. But unfortunately, the process is very cumbersome. There are a lot of federal law and federal rules that they're required to implement, and many of them are just trying to do their job. Unfortunately, sometimes doing their job doesn't take into account our local perspective enough. And I've heard it from every corner of this district, from Ely to Yerington to Tonopah to here. And I need your help to come up with a process where we can show the model for how this works. Now, there's been a couple of hearings that we've had in our Natural Resources Committee, and they brought communities in from across the country. New Mexico is the one I'm thinking of right now.
Can you bring us into one of those?
So I'm going here. This is what I'm explaining. But we have to prove that
We'll be back in Washington in front of that
Let me
resource.
finish my point, Mr. Daly. Let me finish my point. So the point I'm making is communities that have figured out how to have this local input with local, state, and federal agencies around land use, that is the model that we're all trying to figure out how to make that work right.
We have done that. We have.
Okay?
I'll talk to you about it, but I do not want to let that just slip by
Well,
as
without-
if it hasn't happened.
I didn't say it didn't happen.
Okay, I know, but you're talking as if it hasn't happened. and it has.
I'm just relaying
I apologize.
I'm
Go
just
ahead.
saying what happened in New Mexico and the fact that they were invited by the majority party to come in and talk about what they were able to do in their local community in New Mexico around land use. And that's what I want to create, working with you and those who've done it, is to find those models for where that has worked effectively and to use those to replicate that model in other areas. It hasn't happened in every part. Okay, it might be happening here, but it's not happening in Ely. It's not happening in Yerington. And so that's what we're trying to figure out. And that's where I need your help. And this is an opportunity for us to do that. And for those of you who, Mr. Daly, thank you, who want to help me figure out how to do that, I'm inviting you and asking you to help us figure out how to bring those models forward. And this is an opportunity for us to figure that out. And again, it's a starting point. It's not the end. This bill is not scheduled at any time for a vote. Between now and the end of the summer, me and my staff will be in various community meetings to get the input that we got here today and to figure out how to make this legislation the best it can be. So I'm going to close the meeting out. Again, if you have additional questions, please come up and talk to me. We want to review some more issues on the map. And I want to say thank you for coming out on your Saturday morning. I'm very honored to be representing you, and I look forward to working with you in the months and years to come. And I'll have the commissioner close us out.
I know Steve, Congressman Horsford, for about 20 years, just in the political arena as well as we both grew up in Vegas. He works hard and he'll do what he says. And some of the points is, going back 30 plus years ago, Park Service became public-private partners with this people, and that's part of the problem at Uncle Bay and Overton, as well as the lake's going to be done another 11 or 12 feet this year. Just opening the gate without addressing the litigation is part of the problem. And it's kind of contradictory. We don't like the federal government, but damn it, open the gate, And so some of us out here, Dustin Nelson's sick this morning, the police, and some of the other folks here have made a couple of maps. And a suggestion from Clark County is that, you basically maybe cutting that a third to go to an NCA with a third that the lake gets, and the lake that the land gets on the national rec doesn't change anything any different than any other beach or shorter water location. The wilderness area probably doesn't need as big as it is, but another third of that being turned over to Clark County as an RP&P, so it would be locally run. And so I was going to have the maps on the board, but Dustin let me down because he's quick and moving the heads to go anywhere. But anyway, I want to assure you that just like the unproven water rights that these two water companies got, that's a state, working with state water engineer, when he's in the legislature, that's half solving the problem. And again, it doesn't matter if it's a RAC meeting or anything else we've done in this region of northeast Nevada, go clear up to Caliente. Fish and Wildlife and National Rec guys don't show up. But I want to tell you, I've seen the congressman when he was a state senator, people drugged up to in front of the committee. So I have a lot of confidence he will work this out to where it fits everybody, except those people that just say no way, no how. Y'all just stay home if that's your attitude, but if you want to fix it, be part of the process, and that's exactly what the congressman said. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. And the commissioner said something again. We want input on these boundaries. We want input on the size, the scope. We want input on, you know, if there's an area that you say it shouldn't really be in there, why it shouldn't. We can't just say it shouldn't be. Give us some rationale.
Vice versa, right?
I'm sorry?
Vice versa, why shouldn't it be as well, I would say.
Exactly. So, but the lake mead portion as well, and we are in conversations with the commissioner, and I know he's talked to others about, you know, how we can also approach this in partnership with the county. And look, you know, those are the types of ideas and suggestions and options that we need to have on the table as we move forward, and this is the start of that process. So thank you all very much, and we'll be here if you have some additional questions on this topic or on any other topic.